Hello and welcome to this week's Cari Connects. I am Psychic Medium Cari Mugz, and each week I pull a card from a deck to let you know what's coming up for the week and the signs and symbols to watch for. If you're listening to this on my Spunky Spirit podcast, you can watch it on any of my social media platforms, which are all going to be listed in the show notes below. So last week we had the card, Am I Sad? And it had all blue things, and I thought that was kind of crazy, especially because of the vibe last week with everybody, all the things happening with Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, and then Theo Huxtable, the man who played for Theo Huxtable, all of that happening. And it's crazy how things happen in threes, because three is the magical number of the universe. 369 holds like lots of magical keys, and things do happen in threes. So it's kind of, that's why it's all, have it, you can't really see it, but it's tattooed on my, anyways. So this week we are going to be using the Soul Coaching Oracle cards by Denise Linn. I love this deck. It's more of like a high vibe. It's I mean, there's good and bad in it too. Like there has to be in everything, balance out. But the vibe for this week, these readings are kind of like the vibe for the week, right? And it'll show you the signs and symbols to watch for. So on the back of each card is like just a sunset, like the sun and the sky and the gold, which is a gold. So anytime I tell people to protect themselves with white light or gold light, this is what I kind of imagine. And then each individual, like the cards are very beautiful illustrated and lots of signs and symbols. Oh, we've had this card before. So, okay, so this week, what is going to be the vibe? Hopefully it's not going to be another sad. Hopefully it'll be a good one. Ooh, acceptance. This is a beautiful card. So not only does this mean that you need to accept yourself and other people, you need to accept yourself. And you need to kind of accept your reality. Or if you don't, here's the thing, if you're going to complain, and I've always told my kids, anything that you complain about, you can change. And my son would be like, no, sir, you can't change it. And I said, you can probably change your perceptive or your acceptance of it. And once that changes, then the acceptance becomes a little bit easier to deal or better to deal with, or the universe helps you deal with it better. But this acceptance card is mostly to accept yourself for the way you are, for what makes you authentic. We are so bombarded in a world where there's so much social media that tells you how to do things, as far as how to run your business, how to, all the protein, all the diets, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to do it. When we stop listening to what's going on inside of ourselves, because we have everything we need already inside of us. And so we need to accept that we're going to be different from other people. So we need to accept ourselves first and accept that you're going to be different, and what makes you tick might not work for other people. And so you need to accept that you're different, and being different is actually so beautiful and so amazing. And then once you accept yourself, then you accept others. You don't expect them to follow your footsteps or do exactly how you do it. What works for me is not the same that's going to work for others, especially like spiritual stuff. So I know the hardest thing to teach is how to grow spiritually, because everybody's spiritual growth is like it's like a fingerprint. Everybody's is different. Mine followed this pattern and had lots of meditation and lots of digging deep and doing lots of therapy. That's not everybody's way of going into their own spiritual awareness. And so that's why it's so hard for me to teach it, because your spiritual, the way you hear spirit, the way spirit talks to you is so different than everybody else. It's your own spiritual fingerprint. So once you accept that, and accept that you are who you are, and that you're divinely made to who you are, and you are who you wanted to be, and you need to accept that. And sometimes acceptance is accepting what's going on in your life. And finally, I know that, sometimes when people complain all the time about their life and how terrible it is, and you either have to find joy in where you're at, or you need to change it. So you need to accept where you're at and then change it. And then also acceptance for other people. You need to be sympathetic towards others, and maybe know that the way that you do it is not the way they're going to do it. You need to be accepting of others, even if their views are different than yours, or or they don't want to do things the way you do it, because we're all so extremely different. And how boring would it be if we were all the same, right? If we were all the same. So when you see signs and symbols this week, when you see the signs and symbols, it's spirit telling you to just love yourself, and learn to accept your situation, maybe change it, and then accept others. So acceptance all the way around, all the things, just accept. That doesn't mean that you can accept it and leave it and say, oh, this is just the way it's going to be. No, but you can accept it and say, okay, this is how it is, but I want it to be different. And then you create that and manifest that. So this week, you're going to have to learn. You're going to have a come to Jesus, or you're just going to have to accept yourself and learn to love yourself the way you are, and then decide. Change comes after you've accepted who you are. Okay. So I know that sometimes you want to be this other person, or you have goals to be this other person, or you want somebody else to be this other person. And sometimes you just have to accept things that the way they are, and then little by little kind of change it. So acceptance. So this week, the number is 222, which is perfect because that means you're going in the right direction. So anytime you see 222 this week, it's spirit telling you that you're learning to accept yourself, you're learning to accept your world around you and the people around you, and that love is divine, and that you need to love yourself. So some of the signs and symbols are also going to be a boat, because I'm also going to have 999 be a number, because 999 means you're closing one thing and opening another, and water is huge on new beginnings. And so and changes. So this is kind of like you're loving yourself, you are accepting yourself, but you're moving through the changes because you're accepting yourself. This might be the block. The block might be that you can't go through the changes because you're not accepting the reality. You're not accepting who you are. So you need to love yourself first, accept who you are, accept that. And then, so the boat, and then any type of like clouds, see the clouds in the background, and stars. So clouds, stars, any type of sky, and boat on the water. And then this, any type of person with their arms out like a hug. So any type of hugs is going to be a symbol of this week. And the word definitely is going to be acceptance. So this is the vibe for the week. Acceptance, accepting who you are, accepting people for who they are, and accepting the world around you for the way it is. That doesn't mean you can't change it, but you need to accept that this is how it is, and you can change it if you want to. But it's kind of hard as a collective sometimes to accept the world as it is because we want it to change, but that's okay. As long as we realize that this is the way it is, and it's okay how others see it, we can still change we can change what we can control. We can't change some of the stuff outside of ourselves, but we can change what we can control. And we can accept how we perceive it, or our perception of it. So a boat, clouds, stars, water, and a great big hug. Spirit's giving you a great big hug. And so 222 and 999. 222 is your big hug, and 999 is that things are changing. You're letting go of one thing to bring in another. So this is a perfect card for this week. I love you guys so much. Do watch for, I am going to start putting up events. I think I'm going to have a Christmas event, and then a big one, a big event for Christmas. I am going to do a mimosas with medium again. And then I am coming up, my retreat is coming up, and I am going to Scotland, and that's going to be awesome because I'm going to be posting all the stuff there. I'm going to go with some other spiritual people, and we're going to check out all the fun places. So stay tuned to my channels and watch how it goes. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week.